So I feel like I need to make a little video and apologize to a man. And really this is a private matter, but I'm going to post it as public and leave it there just in case any of you guys that are watching come across a similar situation. You'll know, maybe you'll learn from what I've done and handle it a little bit better than I have. But for any of you that don't know, which is probably going to be all of you, there's another moto vlogger that lives literally 5 minutes from me where I live. And he was doing this way before I ever started, before I even got a bike. And I've been a follower of his and a fan of his since before I ever even got a bike. I know where he lives because sometimes he makes videos in his front yard of him working on his bike. And he's made a couple of videos where he's left his house and started the video clip close enough that I could see what streets he was turning on. And it's not that I've stalked the guy. I'm not that kind of person. I knew exactly where he lived because I used to have a customer that lived in the same neighborhood as him. And when I say neighborhood, it's a little circle street. There's one way in, one way out. And for about 2 years, I was in and out of that neighborhood month after month after month. So I'm pretty familiar with the area. It didn't take long for me to know exactly where he was at. So now here's the mistake that I made, and this is a mistake on my part. I decided one day I was just going to ride through there and figure out exactly which house was his, which is innocent enough. You know, you want to see a particular house, you know, that's no big deal. You know, I ride in there and ride out and everything's hunky-dory. Well, next thing you know how we kind of get in these habits where you pick a route or pick a certain set of streets you're on and you go back there again and again and again. Alright, that's what I did. I went through this neighborhood one time, and then next thing you know, I'm going back through there again, and then I'm back through there some more. It's not, I wasn't riding through there every time I'd get on the bike and go somewhere, but you know, probably 3-4 times a week I would slow roll by this house. And I say slow roll because the guy's noted in several of his videos where he's working on his bike and working on his exhaust and that kind of stuff that his neighbors are a little bit sensitive to the noise of a loud bike and people out making a racket. So doing about 25 miles an hour in 4th gear is probably about as quiet as you can possibly be on a FZ07 with a full exhaust on it. So that's what I was doing. Well, and this is going to jump around a lot. It's going to be rambling. It's going to be long, and I apologize for that, but it just is what it is. You got to understand, me and this other guy both are just old country boys. You know, we're both kind of old school, even though he's a young guy. He's a lot younger than me. But I grew up kind of out on the edge of town, the outskirts maybe. And I grew up in a neighborhood that was very similar to his, you know, a little circle drive, one way in, one way out. And when that's the way you live and that's the area you live, you get accustomed to knowing all your neighbors' vehicles. And generally, for the most part, if people don't live in that neighborhood, they don't drive through that neighborhood. So when you see an unfamiliar vehicle, you know, first time maybe they're coming to visit somebody they know there, but if you're within eyeshot of the entrance and exit of this place and you can see somebody obviously come in, stay in long enough just to drive through and leave, and this keeps happening, the first thing you think of is this guy's looking for something to steal. He's up to no good of some sort or another. Unfortunately, we do have a meth problem in this area, and meth heads will steal anything that's not tied down and locked up, whether it's worth anything or not, because they're meth heads. So, me riding through as much as I did caused this guy some concerns, and rightfully so. He don't know me. I followed him on YouTube and Instagram, and we've chatted a time or two, and he's liked a couple of pictures on my Instagram. But as far as a face-to-face meeting or him knowing anything about me personally, no. We're not buddies. He does not know me like that. I don't know him like that. So me being through there all the time got his dander up a little bit, and it would have mine. My attitude about that is a little bit different than his, just because we bought a house 11 years ago, and it's on a dead-end street that's just about 2 miles long, and I was expecting privacy moving onto a street like that. But instead what I got was, this street's just a hair shy of 2 miles long. It's an old bumpy country road, and I live down at the bottom of the hill with the rest of the peons. I'm not anybody special. But up near the top of the hill, there's some views off the side of the bluff, down into a valley. There's some nice houses, expensive houses. And it's one of those dead-end streets that people will take to on a Sunday afternoon drive or Saturday afternoon and just drive up to the end, turn around and come back down. It happens all the time. As bumpy as the street is, I really don't understand why motorcycles choose to drive up and down this street, but they do. Matter of fact, when I was pulling out of my driveway just now, there was a Hayabusa going up the street, and I've seen him several times before. After 11 years of living here, I've become accustomed to that. You know, just randoms that I don't know going up and down the street. The only time I ever get concerned about who's on my road and who shouldn't be on my road is when somebody slow rolls by my house down at the bottom of the hill with the peons in the regular houses that everybody and their mama owns. You know, there's no reason to be slow rolling, rubbernecking by my house because it's nothing special. So, I didn't even realize until after I talked to this guy that that's what I was doing. I was slow rolling by his house on repeat, you know, several days a week for a couple of weeks. And it made him nervous enough about that situation to make a YouTube video, which he hadn't made a video in almost a year, I don't think. So his comeback video, I guess, was more or less made just for me. And that made me feel bad. So I reached out the only way that I knew to do to where I could have a little private chat with him and not do it in the comment section on his YouTube page where he would kind of feel like he was obligated to take one tone or another just so his other followers wouldn't see how he was talking, maybe kind of color what he said or his attitude about it. I wanted it to just be me and him. And I'm not going to name his name because, one, he was kind enough not to call me out by name. He described the situation and I knew what he was talking about. And two, I don't want to beef with another motovlogger. I would love to have more subscribers and more views than what I have, but I don't want to get there by having some kind of conflict with one of my neighbors. That's not the kind of person I want to be known as. That's not the kind of thing I want to be known for. Not at all. So I'm leaving names out of this. This is same way as he did. But we did talk, and as far as I know, it's hashed out. It's all settled. We're both back to being happy now. But I thought of some things after I spoke to him that I kind of wanted to say, but I didn't want to just keep sending messages. You know, like old hen pecking at the ground, just keep it on. And it was, as far as I understand, squashed already. But when I get this edited to sound kind of like I want it to sound and ready to publish, I will tag him in the link, because I don't know if he watches my videos or not. I kind of doubt that he does. But I want him to see this and hear this. You know, the thing about the neighborhoods being private and that being the way I grew up, and it's not the case for me now because of the street I live on. I didn't think about any of that stuff till after the fact. I didn't realize exactly how wrong I had done this guy by keeping on cruising in front of his house, because people cruise in front of my house all the time. You know, it's it just never did even cross my mind. But yeah, when I was a lot younger and I lived in a different neighborhood that was like his, that people didn't cruise by all the time, yeah, it would kind of red flag me anytime I saw an unfamiliar vehicle come in and go out without stopping anywhere. And because this guy don't know me, he don't know what my intentions are. What in the world? Oh man. Anyway, I hope nobody wants to take one side or the other in the comments, because, or at least watch the whole thing before you do, because no matter what else gets said, I want to be real clear about this. What I did was wrong. What I was doing was wrong. He was right to be a little bit leery of me doing what I was doing, and he let me know that in the best way he knew how to do. And I answered him in the best way that I knew how to do. And as far as I know, we're all good now. And everything's fine. And I'm so carried away talking, I can't even ride anymore, evidently. I mean, I've been thinking about this since late last night when we were talking about it, and imagining if I were to say something on his comments on his YouTube page, or if I was to post my own video, what the comment section would look like. And just before y'all even get started, I'll go ahead and knock some of that stuff out of the way. Yes, I was on a public road. No, there's no law that says I can't drive in front of somebody's house. No, I never went down his driveway, entered his property, or anything to that effect. But I was driving slow in front of his house, usually looking towards his house to see if he was outside so I could wave, or had he done anything to his bike. Did he have his did he have his bike parked close to the road? Whatever, you know, just being nosy and curious. Which, you know, from the outside looking in, that's not my business. And if I were in his shoes and somebody were doing that to me, I would rightfully be a little bit upset about it. I would want to know why. I would wonder what was going on. So while, you know, legally, technically, by the letter of whatever, I didn't do anything wrong, did cause this guy some anxiety, and for that I wholeheartedly apologize. It has never been my intention from day one to cause any trouble with this guy or to cause any trouble for this guy, because he's the kind of guy that if we come up together in school or whatever, we're similar enough that I feel like we would have been friends. You know, maybe one day things will line up to where we could be friends. But that's, you know, that's kind of up to him. He's married and got kids, got a job that probably takes more hours out of his time than mine does for me. So I understand being busy. I don't understand being the kind of busy that he is when you throw kids into the mix, because I don't have any. But I mean, between work and the bike and my wife and the dogs, I don't have a whole lot of time to do extra stuff. My extra stuff is getting on this bike and riding. I've got friends, but I'm not the person that reaches out and says, hey, let's go do something. I'm the person that I might show up if somebody reaches out to me and says, hey, let's go do something. But I'm very much a homebody. I like to stay in unless I'm getting to ride the bike. You know, once my work day's over, I want to be home or on the motorcycle. So I guess I saw a chance to make a friend, and I might have went a little bit overboard with it. And part of it too was just getting in the habit of riding through his neighborhood as part of my regular route, whether I was specifically going to look for him or not. But he don't have any way of knowing what my intentions were as I was riding through. So his reaction was appropriate, I think. And like I say, I apologize. I was wrong for doing that. I wish him nothing but the best. I hope maybe one of these days me and him can meet and be friends and maybe ride together or whatever. But if it don't work out that way, that's fine too. I don't have any ill will towards this guy, and I'm not ever going to. He seems like a genuinely good person. That's I think that's really about all I want to say about it. I know it's been long, it's been rambly, but if you got to leave a comment, do me a favor, don't attack me in the comments, because I've spent the last 10 minutes or ever how long it's been admitting that I was wrong, trying to explain my thought process behind the thing. And certainly don't go after this guy for being sensitive to my intrusion of his privacy, because it's, you know, looking back, for kind of from the outside looking in, me putting myself in his shoes, it's very clear to me that what I was doing was an invasion of his privacy, because just his perception of it is that I was there to stalk his house, to try and look and see what he had going on, and that I was just keeping on doing it. So yeah, I was absolutely wrong for doing that. Whether that was my intention or not, that was the perception that I created by my own actions, and I don't want to be that guy. So, you know, if you want to encourage somebody one way or the other, go ahead and leave a comment. I don't care. Just don't be negative in the comments on this video, because it's really not appropriate and there's not a place for it, and that's not why I made the video. I made the video to apologize to this guy and to maybe try to help any of y'all that might find yourself in a similar situation, to kind of see how you could better handle things. I'll put it that way. So that's going to be the end of this video. Y'all have a good day. Ooh, come on, dog.